Okay, so as I said, stuff you were talking about, you were trying to work on with the takeaway and all that kind of stuff. I would say actually getting a pretty good spot now with this takeaway going back. The club's working back pretty much in a good range there between sort of like your hand path here and the hips there and stuff. So the club's not whipping too far inside, you're not going too far the other way. Slightly moving toward your toes as you go backwards. I think if you start thinking about kind of turning in this way and keeping this back, that will certainly help. But the key thing with the main...
weight on the back of
a little bit more into your right heel slightly, I would say, as you turn into it. But the main focus for me now, is, again, will obviously help when you turn that right. You tend to get a little bit sort of first movement now, throwing that club forward and getting a little bit steep. So your club now is kind of coming through your right shoulder here, quite aggressively down into the ground. Now, the problem with that angle is it's very, very difficult to square the club face up. So based on just this alone, and I would say most poor golfers, should we say, if they go into that position, they would see a golf ball doing that a lot of the time. What you're able to do, just through because you've played enough and good hand-eye coordination, is kind of square the club face up here. So almost a bit of a flick down here, but you can see the club face now is almost pretty much squared up before the club's at the golf ball. Therefore, when you actually come to make contact, that continual curve the club's going to swing on is going to square the club face up too much, and that ball's going left, And if you're then trying to sort of hang on to it as long as you can, there's a lot of things going on there in the swing. So the feel you're going to try and produce now, if we go back to that sort of downswing position where that club was here, coming steep, you said in the past you try to sometimes shallow the club or flatten it, but you'd often do it with a bit of a sort of a pull motion, okay? We want it the sensation, the arms are falling, and the weight of the club now is going to fall back here now. So as you get to that, it's not a yank, just let your arms, you see, go down that line, and see when you get to about this position, just letting the club fall down, how much shallower that club's going to swing on. This is obviously quite exaggerated for you. It's not actually that far away from where you want to be in time, okay? That's obviously too far behind you now, but you've had no rotation. The rotation will happen, yeah? So if you think that club goes from here, something like Justin Rose, or the club goes here, if you now just start turning your body, which you will do, the club now is going to get more back into line where you want to get to. So the feeling of this club kind of just falling down here, up and down this way. As you said, the arm basically working on a vertical angle, straight up and down. And once you've kind of got that movement there now, then the shift of the body is going to start coming in. And again, a checkpoint we tend to look at is, does the club go through that right forearm, which you can see on that position there? You're spot on. So having practiced that over and over again, you do that kind of movement as much as you can. Then you kind of see it yourself there now. See the club now sort of coming to that right forearm nicely. We're in a much more shallower position, which makes it easier for you to control the club face and work from a better angle. So that's your practice. Then when you step to the golf ball, as we come back down, you can see the club there's coming down that angle. Is it shallow? No. Is it shallower? Yes. Right. And you've got to just start moving it. More. Yeah, exactly. At the moment, though, and this is what I said to a lot of people, I'd rather you be in that range there than actually go to where you were practicing, because if you went to where you probably missed the ball to there, it's almost too big a change too early, So just do it slightly, bit by bit by bit with practice. So in time, you still...
shallower approach. I don't need to adjust the wrists.
No. Don't do. What you don't want to do is start trying to drop the arms this way, or sort of bring the club back behind you. If you start then doing this, you're then pulling the handle outwards towards you, and then you get a world of effect. Most people, I would say, some of the buzzwords are going around sort of the golfing industry: shallow in the club and shaft lean. People try to create shaft lean and shallow in the club by putting their hands forward and dropping the club behind them, and it just gets them. They just end up shanking it miles right. And then the good players then start just flicking their hands to save it, which then negates the shaft lean. And so the body's working better as the arms fall, and the sort of the weight of the club then kind of falls behind you as you then come back in the golf ball now. So the club's coming back in more on a sort of inside path here now. The right foot hasn't kind of moved off the ground quite so much. Ball now can start just right at target, and you can kind of hit your customary, again, soft draw, not sling hook. Because if you're hitting a big draw with an 8-iron, you put a longer club in your hand, it's going to be a massive hook, or you then got to hang on to it for days, okay? So I would say sort of a little routine, hit 4 or 5 shots to say this green. If 3 of those 5 are pretty good, carry on. Maybe change a different hole or change a different spot, okay? If one of them's good and the other 3 or 4 aren't so good, go up against the wall, do some practice, do some of those drills, and then go and test it. And always when you're doing the practice, just be mindful when you're doing kind of this movement here, what are you feeling? Do you feel it more into your left ankle, your left foot? Do you feel it more in your left hip? Do you feel the club going down? What are you feeling when you do that? So when you step into the golf ball, okay, I've got this feel, the club's got to be doing this, so I can start producing a feeling. It doesn't want to be a thinking process, yeah?
Yeah.
Make sense, yeah?
Yep, brilliant.
Cool, okay, good stuff, buddy, well done.